Welcome, ladies, to the Real Estate InvestHER Show, providing inspiration, strategies, and insight to empower women investors to live balanced and financially free lives. Now, here are your co-hosts, Liz and Andresa.
Welcome back, ladies. This is Liz.
And this is Andresa.
Welcome back to the Real Estate InvestHER Show, where we are on a mission, right, Andresa? Yes. To empower women to live a financially free and balanced life, which is a really big mission that we are fortunate to be on together with all of you.
Yeah, we had nothing else to do in life, so we were like, let's just pick this one. That sounds like doable.
So this is a very special episode. We actually have two very special episodes to be releasing back to back, little double feature here. And what we're celebrating is our 3-year anniversary of launching our podcast, which is just amazing, right, Andresa? When you really kind of sit back and think about it, it's really neat to see the progression, right?
It was a big deal for us. It's like, oh my gosh, a podcast. How are we going to do this? It sounded like a big project that we had to go through, had the learning curves and everything that we, past 3 years, all the women that we met is just really incredible. But today's going to be different. You never heard this. And it's going to be the first time that Liz is interviewing me, and I am interviewing her with questions we never asked before.
Absolutely. And we really wanted to do something special because we're always thinking of you, the women and some men who love our show listening. And we really wanted to, as we continue to help, be the leaders of building this community globally, we really are all about transparency. We're all about realness. We're all about everything's not perfect. And we thought it would be really neat to interview each other from the perspective of things, sharing things about our path that you've never heard before and that we never shared on a podcast before. So we thought that would be kind of a neat way to celebrate, this really, really, really powerful step, that really powerful kind of celebratory episode time for us in terms of our anniversary. So let's get into it, because we always want to be mindful of time and just getting into it and not wasting too much time. So I had the pleasure of interviewing Miss Andresa, and I've been friends with her a long time. We were friends first.
I'm getting nervous. We're just going to ask me now.
I'll never forget when Matt, I think Matt first talked to you, he goes, I spoke to that woman Andresa from Bigger Pockets. But we met each other on Bigger Pockets, which I was super grateful. He's like, she spoke really quickly, and I had a really, it was a quick conversation. I'm like, okay, it's just funny, right? As we've gotten to know each other. But we were friends first. Then we started to partner on a number of real estate deals, flips, and new construction, which we've gotten to know each other. And then we've launched this amazing community together. So I've had the pleasure of knowing Andresa on a lot of different levels. So I'm really excited to interview her from the perspective of just getting to know her more, but also for you all to get to know this phenomenal woman who I'm really, really fortunate to call a friend and business partner. I'm not just saying that. This woman is one of the best, and she is such full of integrity and full of care, and she's just one of my favorite people. So Andresa, we're going to kick things off around.
Okay.
I think we talk a lot in investing. All of us that have been doing this for quite some time, we love to talk about our successes. We love to talk about what we're doing well. Who doesn't? Let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
Who wants to talk about all the things they've effed up over the years, right? People don't want to talk about that. But quite honestly, that's where we learn, and that's where we're able to give value, especially in our community. So when you look back, you've been doing this for quite some time. You've been investing for quite some time. What have you found to be the biggest mistake that you've made in investing that you've never shared before?
Okay. Well, if you heard different podcasts, I shared different mistakes because I made several mistakes throughout my journey. So you heard those. The one that I don't think I've talked about is the mistake when I started the business itself. I was decided to work full-time, quit my job, work full-time as a real estate investor, while my ex-husband had a full-time job. And I think that for 5 years, I worked for for our company and was able to replace his income, and he quit his job. The mistake that I made there is that for 5 years, even though our company was profitable, I was not paying myself. I did not pay myself a salary. I did not set up the proper, I should have a W-2 and take advantage of an S Corp. Absolutely should have it. I also did not take care of my retirement. So it was a big mistake that I take full responsibility for it. And I know because of that, I know much more about retirement, tax, and all that good stuff, right? That it might sound complicated. It might sound like, oh, this is just like when I am like whatever down the road. But I encourage you to really pay attention to those things, have fully, deeper conversations with your CPA in a more in a strategic way. Then it's just like, okay, we're gonna see how much I own the IRS for all the work that I have done, but you're not taking care of yourself. So I think that was one of my biggest mistakes.
Yeah. Now that makes a lot of sense. Let's talk about paying yourself for a moment, because there's a lot in that. I think there's a lot of worthiness. I think you're an entrepreneur, so you want to make sure there's cash flow, right? So just paying anything out when you're growing a business, there's something around that. People aren't just like, I'm going to pay myself $200,000 and you're not even making that, right? Most people are very mindful. So what internal journey did you have to go through to move beyond that, and even move beyond it as of today, right? To be able to get to the point where I'm assuming you are paying yourself on some level, right? That would be the assumption of what you just answered.
Yes.
So you weren't in one side of one business and you are in another business. So help the women listening a little bit understand, what was your journey? Because I don't think it's just a making more money journey, because if that was the case, no, you clearly you were making the money then. Yeah. It wasn't like you weren't making any money. So, but you didn't do it then. So talk a little bit about that internal journey and that internal kind of rub where, and what you did to move through that.
I think there's two different journeys, right? There's a business journey and there's this emotional, spiritual journey that I have to go through. So in terms of the business journey is really getting educated how wealthy people behave, right? Yeah. Wealthy people behave certain way and the rich get richer, right? For a certain reason. They use the tax, strategies that are legal, totally available as an entrepreneur. So getting informed is one of the big things, because we make assumptions, right? I come from a different country. The regulations are completely different. The way of being is completely different. So there's another layer there, right? Just to be frankly, when I moved here, there's no such thing in Brazil as like a credit score. So I pay for my entire master's degree cash. I worked and I pay for it. If I had built my credit since then, it will be completely different. So part is ignorance, is really pure ignorance, and not in a bad way. Okay. I'm just saying that ignorance to the sense of lack of knowledge. So the lack of knowledge is one big piece for that. The other big piece is the emotional piece, right? I am a big self-development junkie. I love to figure it out. Who am I? Why am I here? Why do I behave the way that I am behaving? Like the self-awareness is such a big thing. I don't think I was there at that time. My goal was to really wake up at 5 a.m., kill myself during the day, do what I needed to do. And I did not care about my well-being, right? If I drink water, it would be a blessing, right? So I didn't see my business as a holistic way. And I do believe that women nowadays, we've got to look at our business as a whole. I am like the wheels of my car, right? Or the motor, like the machine.
Yeah.
you've got to take care of that first, and really like self-worth. Yes, I'm worth that. Yes, if I had to hire somebody, how much I would pay for that right now, considering your business is really up to that point, right? So it's really structuring your business to scale in the future. But emotionally, you got to go through that journey, and it's really like an awareness and pass through whatever feeling or guilt feeling. Surround yourself with people that are going to support you during that journey.
I love that. And I think so many times we try to figure out on ourselves, we try to figure out on our own versus, okay, I really impressed by that particular person or that woman who's running that company. How are they doing it? We don't do that enough. Success leaves clues. And I don't think we often look outside ourselves to figure it out too. So lack of knowledge is just not internal knowledge, but lack of knowledge of just how other people are doing it, right? And that's, all the different communities that we're building and trying to give women access, right, to a lot of different 100%. Women and a lot of different approaches. That's very cool. So one of the things really wanted to jump into, especially on this episode, is something we just don't get to. We're always talking like, strategies and all that good stuff on all the different things we're doing in our community. But childhood is very powerful. Who we were, what we did really shapes us. Yeah. Whether we realize it or not, it's just the nature. And it can shape us for good, and it can shape us where we have limiting fill in the blank for the rest of our lives. And so you and I both done a lot of personal growth work, right?
Yes.
And so much of the time they bring you back to your childhood. In some ways, people are like, oh God, they're going to talk about their childhood. And it's like, it is a little bit of something around that, right? But yes. I think as women, it's really interesting to think about who we were as children and you, especially in that 7 to 12-year time frame, because you did things then that your passions could kind of unravel and unwind. So for you, what happened in your childhood when you think back of who you were, who Andresa was as a kid, what led you to where you are today? You are who you are today, but what events or ways of being or something happening in your childhood that you could be like, wow, that happened. And now look at where I am here today.
Great.
Does anything come up for you?
I'm just going to share what's coming up in my head. I did not know like all those, different questions. So I'm just going to share what's coming up in my head. I don't even know, Liz, if you know this. So in Brazil, my family, we have a private street, which all my family lives in. There is a gate and then we go in. There's all
really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's pretty cool.
It's not a big deal. It's just like, it's a small town. It's a private street, has the name of our ancestors, and it's my grandparents, uncles, and aunts. And in the back of the house, there's like mango trees, banana trees, like different trees, like herbs and all of that stuff. Right now, if I go there, it looks smaller to me. Right. But at that time, that was huge, like when I was 7 years old. So when we closed the gates, I could go, like I had breakfast and I was gone the entire day. Right. I came back when my mom was like, lunch is ready, or my grandma, lunch is ready. And then we'll come, because my cousins, we all play together, right? When we were not in school and vacation times, that was a big deal. So the freedom that I had to explore, right? We almost put freaking fire in a toy that we wanted to figure it out what will happen. We had a small oven. We put fire inside and it freaking exploded. I could have died, right? I asked my mom, like, for the love of God, like, I could have fall from a mango tree. I could have all of that. Nothing major happened, right? But I think that the freedom that I had to explore without concern was really, really magical. And one thing that my mom said that is very crucial, she raised me, my mom and my dad, they both raised me for the world, not for themselves. And the reason why I'm saying this, because at 14 years old, I came to both of them with some papers because I did some analysis of that I wanted to move out. And I was like, Mom, when my dad passed away on my last year of my high school, right? So this was high school. I didn't want to go to the high school in my town. I wanted to go to a high school in another town because they had like a TAC program to do computer science. And I was into that. So at 13, 14, whatever that age is, I came to them with this plan saying, I want to go to this school. This is what's going to be cost per week for boarding, for food, for transportation, everything else. And thinking of that, I asked my mom, I was like, what the hell were you guys thinking when first I came to you with that and you guys accepted and let me go? There's no way how I'm gonna give my son that opportunity, that chance, right? That's too much moving out. And I remember they both said, here's the deal, we trust you to go, and you are going to be there, and if we receive one phone call, one complaint, one, we're not going to even ask what happened. You were coming back. Wow. Right. And I remember my first week there that I needed to get a bus to go back home. I was sitting down at the bus stop and the bus was coming, and the bus came and the bus passed me and the bus went away. And I was like, what the hell? The bus didn't stop. And I called my mom and my dad and I was like, I don't know what happened. The bus didn't stop. And they were like, you wave for the bus. And, it's like, what do you mean wave? They don't stop and ask you? So that's how naive I was that I couldn't even catch a bus. That day, they said to me, so what are you going to do? I was like, well, you have to come and pick me up. They said, no, you're going to stay there. And I stayed there until the next day. So they were really like, wow, you're going to experience, right? So I moved out. Unfortunately or fortunately, from that time, I also went to school in another town. I graduated, right? I think that I moved out, went for high school, lived outside also for my college and my master's, and then moved here for my master's degree. So I was like, I detached, right? Not that I didn't love my family. I really loved my family, and I had no was something wrong with that. Really passionate about them, but they gave me the freedom to try things, to go. And they always said, if something goes wrong, you can rely back. You can always come back, right? So it gave me the confidence to really go. So Here I am.
I love that. That's really powerful that they literally locked the gates and you physically couldn't get back in. You had to talk about, think about that happening now in our world, right? Yeah. You think about the natural parenting styles of helicopter moms and dads, and just we're all over our kids. Don't eat dirt. Don't do this. Don't do that. Stuff that we didn't, do even as kids. It's gotten so, meanwhile, back at your childhood, they're like, we're locking the gates and you're not coming back till lunchtime. That's totally different, right?
No, they locked the gate so cars couldn't come in.
Oh, okay. I thought that meant you couldn't go back.
No. In order we have the gates for the street, right?
I see.
So they locked the gates we could play safely inside.
Okay. Gotcha. I love that. So that's pretty amazing. And that clearly created this true freedom, this ability to have freedom. And that's clearly connected to your investing goals and why you started a business. I'm sure that had to do with your core. Yeah. So as you navigated your business, as you navigated your life in recent years, what's been one of the toughest things that you've been through, and how has it shaped you?
Right. I think I already shared slightly with the community, but going through my divorce, right, was very hard. And going through on the highest of my business is just a big decision because everything else is going super well. So what's going on here? And it's not that the business influenced the relationship. It really wasn't there. I was working on my marriage for quite a long time and have done a lot of work. Liz knows about it. And it was just a decision that I had to make and really okay, how this is going to happen. Right? It is a process and is really daunting because you basically, I had to start from scratch because the business I wanted to dissolve. I wanted to live my house that I just had built and decorated fully, right? So I packed 4 knives, 4 forks, 4 plates, 4 cups, all of that with the minimum and moved out. It is what it is. And I can start all over again. Easy? Absolutely not. But I am confident that the decision was correct. I don't care about anything material. Of course, there's a sadness into the relationship and everything else and all the dreams that I'm no longer going to do that. Absolutely, no doubt about it. But now my focus is on how can I co-parent powerfully, and raise a child that is full of love for both parents. And I am freely living the life that I want to live without any concerns, without any reservations. That is one of my biggest decisions. And my gut, it never wrong. So I just delayed to listen to my gut. And I think that it contributes to the pain, right? Not making a decision or being go or don't go, it's more painful than really making a decision, because the moment that I made a decision, Liz was one of the first person that I talked about it, and the support around me was really powerful.
I mean, just to touch on this, because it's so powerful to think of when we go through things in life, it's sometimes we're okay, when that's over, I'm going to start investing in real estate, or I'm going to get into this side of the business. You have ladies listen that really get this in your consciousness. When we started our podcast, Andresa was literally just about embarking on this process.
Yes.
So this wasn't we were sitting around, the two of us. I was moving. It was neither of us had a lot of time to put this in our worlds, to be honest, to be perfectly honest. And we're okay, let's start with a podcast, let's focus on one thing. And, but that was a coordination effort. I mean, it took us a year to get it launched, literally a year. We did little pieces and we just we wanted to do it on our own terms. We didn't want to but I think about that. And I think about you, Andres, and I think about the strength and this resilience that you have. I mean, literally we launched a whole new thing. And a podcast isn't just hey, let's just record a podcast. You need a name, you need a logo, you need a lot of things to get it going. And you were going through what you're going through personally, and you never made that an excuse. You never made it I can't do this now. This is not a good time for me. You're this is important for me here, and I'm going through this. It was an and, not an or. Yeah. And I think that's a very powerful quality women, all of us could do more of. I know I can. That was just my hat goes off to you, because your ability to have such courage and perseverance in a really dark time of your life was just, I don't know if a lot of women would do that or could do that. And I think you dug really deep and is pretty amazing.
I saw the podcast as a seed, right? A seed of the desire that we both had in common to support women, right? We didn't know the entire community or membership or meetups. That was not even right? We knew we had a couple of ideas, we didn't know how to, and we decided to start with the podcast. But the podcast gave me hope, energy, to look forward, to focus, to have a couple of hours to focus on things that really, mattered to me. And I was really passionate about. And I can tell hands down the support system that I had, the core friends that I had, and you were one of them. I would not have been able to just have tough moments, get out of the tough moments being on my own, right? I had to. That was really a big shift in my life. I was before and after. Before, I was really in a bubble, trying to figure out things by myself, not sharing the struggles, being ashamed of the struggles. And after that, it's just all right, hey people, right? My core friends, they know the good, the bad, and the ugly, and vice versa. By doing that, I allow them to share their struggles with me, which is really, really powerful, because you don't want to have that friend that just calls you to, hey, let me tell you another bad thing that happened.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you have a communication, right? And you have friends that Liz is going to say, okay, but let's get into another mentality mode, right? I can complain to Liz for 30 seconds, a minute, more or less. She's going to hear me. She's going to be super kind to me, but then she's going to go like, okay, now it's time for us to take responsibility and what we're going to do with this, which, right? You want all of that. So thank you for all the support and being the friend that you are to me, because I wouldn't be able to do it like on my own, for sure.
Well, I appreciate that. But I think so much of when we're in these times, these really dark times, all of us on some level are there. Whatever we're dealing with, we're all women listening. Some of you and all of you are dealing with something. And so if you could start to put your energy into something that does give you passion. And I think the easiest way, because passion's a big word. It's like, whoa, that's a big word. What am I really passionate about? And as women, right, we analyze everything. Well, am I really passionate about this? You know, it's got to be this like on this like unicorn to be passionate. Like it's got to be this beautiful thing to be. But no, it's like, does this give me energy, or does this take energy from me? It's as simple as that, ladies. And I think you start asking yourself that question, because if it's something that you're not making time for, it's probably not giving you energy. And it won't pull you out of that maybe dark time, or, you know, so this pulled Andresa out and saying, this gives me energy. So again, to give you energy doesn't give you energy. Just keep it at that.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Yes.
What, you know, I really want to talk about our future selves. I think, you know, it's something that you and I talk a lot about. And it's like, we sometimes know the right things we need to be doing or thinking or saying, but we just sometimes are not thinking in the future in a way that's supporting us living today, is what I mean. Some people just live their lives in the future and they're not peaceful and happy now. That's not what I'm saying right now. What I want to ask you is, as you grow in your, and this is a special year for you, as you grow in your kind of life and world and just your trajectory of where Andresa is going in this life, you know, what advice from like Andresa 10 years from now, right? Andresa 10 years from now is here. And she's now coming back to you and saying, Andresa, and she'd say, here's the deal. Because if you ever listen to Andresa on our webinars, in our membership, in our summit, in anything we do, literally, she goes, okay, ladies, here's the deal. You know, that's like Andresa's word. So here's what I want to ask you is, what would your future self 10 years from now, Andresa 10 years from now,
okay,
what would she tell you 3 very specific things in 3 different areas, right? We focus so much of our energy on 3 pillars, which I love, because we aren't just investors or investors, right? We are helping women investing. We're helping women in the business sense, because it's not a hobby. This is not a hobby. This is a business. Yeah. And we're also helping them in self-care and doing it in a balanced way, right? Our 3 pillars are 3 focuses of when we give content and all that good stuff. So what would be your 3, literally what Andresa would say, Andresa 10 years ago, here's what I want to tell you. Here's my advice for you for those 3 areas. What would she tell you today, right now?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think let's start, I guess, real estate, right? She's going to say, here's the deal.
Here you go. I love when you say, like, here's the deal.
Here's the deal, Andresa. So first of all, what the hell, right? What a journey it has been. But she will continue saying to me, like, you're on the right path. You are not going to be doing things on your own, right? The more you leverage your skills, your ability, more you're going to be able to serve other women, live the life that you want. So really continue looking for women that you can really hold arms with, and shine a light on them on where they're good at, and shine a light on you where you're good at. And you can really serve other women. What I'm saying right now is that we have right now we're in the midst of building it's a project called the Trailblazers, and it has a social impact. And I want this to be something that we can go across the country, because it's not just serving us, but serving other women in need that is going to transition. So I want, my future self thinking about it, she will say, yeah, continue, surround yourself with those women so you can really help other women that are in the same journey.
Love it.
And then,
yes, that could cover kind of like real estate. What about business? What would she tell you?
Business. So business, right? As I step in as the CEO of the Real Estate InvestHER, really my skills and my mindset is slightly shifting, right? In order for me to step as a leader within this community and really be the support for all the women that we are working with and serving, I need to really elevate my skills. So everything that I'm consuming right now, in terms of books, skills, strategies, is in relationship to this higher, self. So the future Andresa would say, wow, what's happening here, right? Because we have a lot of different projects and collaborations going on, and our goals are really, really high, scary, and exciting at the same time. So I think that, I don't know what she would tell me. She was like, well, take it easy sometimes so you don't kill yourself in the middle of, building a business, but it's something that you really like. So I guess you're going to do what you're going to do, because I like to consume, information and just improve. And then I think for the personal life, she'll be saying that she's really proud of me, because I am really like living the life that I envision to live in my personal life. My son is really happy. My family is really happy. And I am really happy too. I didn't need to change to find somebody that I really love. And I don't need to be somebody else. I can be just the way that I am. And that's more than, great. So I'll be super happy.
I love it. It's funny. You think you really, I'm visualizing like ourselves 10 years from now, right? And it's, and I would encourage the women listening, write down something for yourself. Pick away one, hopefully.
You want to share our vision list later? the chair, me on the chair.
Oh yeah, no, that's so funny. Just as funny. She's like, I had this vision. I have this vision. We're on a beach somewhere in years to come, and we're helping women. We're at a big conference. We're doing this, and we're doing that, and we're traveling, and I'm on the porch and I'm having a nice hot cup of tea, and you're drinking a glass of wine. Like, it's just funny that her vision always includes me having the alcohol and her having the tea, but slightly funny, but sort of true. But yeah, no, I see that too. And really stepping out of yourself, saying, hey, Susie or Mary or whoever, all the amazing ladies listening to this right now, what would my 10-year, future self tell me about these 3 areas? And then do it, and then take that advice, because you have it within you of what you need to maybe to do. We just don't stop and actually listen to ourselves. So I want to, there's like tons of questions to ask you, and I'm really enjoying this, because I love working with you, Andresa, for a lot of reasons. When we came together on the podcast, it was always something very easy. You and I always had an easy time, like interviewing people, going back and forth. And you want to work with ladies, you want to work with people you admire and really, really like. Andresa has so many skills, and I'm so grateful for partnering her on all those things, but I genuinely like this person, right? I genuinely care about this person. And that's important in business. And it's not about, it's not that we don't have agreements in place, and this is not a bit, it is a business, and we're both clear on that. But Andresa is also a friend, and you have to, you partner with people, not that you have to be friends with everyone, but you should like them. You should like them. You should really want to go to bat for them. Yeah. And that's a quality that I don't think gets talked enough about in terms of trust and respect. So I want to end our time together I'm so enjoying this, but we're doing a back-to-back feature here. So I want to make sure we're mindful of time, but I'm going to ask the 3 questions we ask every guest. So,
all right.
So, and you always ask these questions. So I had to ask Andresa, can you write those down for me? Because I think I don't know the second question. You'd think I would after 3 years, but one thing goes in my ear, out the other. But what is the most transformational book you have ever read?
Listen, it's just like it changes every single month. So I'm going to share the latest one, right? The latest one is called Vivid Vision, which is super powerful, not just business, but personal, and very, very easy reading. So you can read it in a week or a couple of days. It's just really, really powerful. And it paints the picture of your vision in a way that you can share with others. And what was important to me and different on this book is just like, I have a vision, right? But it's here. I might share with my friends, but I'm not gonna like really share. And that's what I am going to do. Really share. You're listening to it. You're going to be seeing our investor Vivid Vision everywhere. We're going to share where we're going within the next 3 years. And, personally, it's important for me to share with Liz, what is my vision for my life and for her too, right? If I have a marathon in my future, guess what? Liz needs to know that, because then let's say, okay, how about if we start training, right? Plan something, and then we can run together or whatever that might be. But that has been a very interesting and remarkable book.
Awesome. What is the most powerful routine you do to create a financially free and balanced life?
I meditate. I meditate every day. Sometimes it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever that is. And I hear a lot of people say, I don't have time to meditate. So for you, I will say meditate 1 hour. Here's the reason why I'm saying that. By meditating, you really clear up the clog inside your brain. Your brain is, imagine like a machine that is like super clogged, right? Meditation is like the bleach or the oil. It cleans up. So you think faster, you act faster. So I am able to execute things in a much faster way. Therefore, I save time. So that's the non-negotiable for me.
Love it. Which women, famous or not, has inspired you the most?
I've got to say my mom. There's so many other women out there, but I've got to say her. I mean, she gave me the opportunity to really, she could have said no for me to moving out at 14 years old, no to come over here to the US by myself. She said no, like whatever she could have said. But really remarkable woman. She lost her husband at 40 years old, my dad, right? And 3 months later, her dad passed away. So it was really traumatic. And for that woman, a couple of weeks later, go back to work and really like get things going because she had 3 kids to raise. It is really remarkable. And she didn't go to college, but she has this wisdom that came, I don't know, I tell her all the time, you already came to earth a couple of times. That's why you know all of this. Because sometimes I'm sharing with her a concept and she's like, yeah, I know about this. And then she starts sharing it, but really carrying into the way that really she moved here. She left Brazil, moved here. She lives with me because she saw what I was going through. And imagine, it's not easy, right? My entire family is in Brazil. She moved to come here and support me. And I am will never be able to do everything that I do if I didn't have her support. So she's like a strong woman, my backbone.
Love it. I love it. Well, this has been awesome. And I am so appreciative of you. And I think, the women listening, I really hope you get a chance to meet Andresa and get to know her in a way that, beyond just listening on the podcast. Or
and I am an introvert, so come talk to me.
She's one of the best people in this world. She really is. And I'm so fortunate to be on this journey with you. Thank you, ladies, for listening. Thank you for being on this journey with us. If you love our show, and even if you like our show, we would be so appreciative. Go over to iTunes, rate, review, leave us a comment. I'm forgetting the word, recommendation, whatever it's called. Leave us a review. Review. Thank you. And share the good word. Share it with the women in your life. We really appreciate that. It's one of the nicest ways to, if you enjoy this, to share it with others, right? So, Andresa, awesome. Thanks so much. This has been awesome.
Thank you so much. This was great. I hope you guys have taken something out of this that you can learn and apply, and let us know what you think. And I'll see you around the real estate investor community. If you enjoyed this podcast and want to receive updates on our next interviews, go to our website, therealestateinvestor.com. There, you can subscribe to our show, become part of our investor community, and get updates on upcoming episodes.
If you like our show, please share it with other women who would benefit. And don't forget to leave us a rating on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. And as always, we encourage you to take one action as a result of today's show and put it into motion so you can live both a financially free and balanced life. Thanks for spending time with us.
Ciao.